Greetings, heathens and heretics, and welcome to the greatest comeback ever because we haven't done this shit for fucking months.
Hang on, the greatest comeback ever. Haven't Spinal Tap just released a film?
Ooh, we'll come to that in a minute.
Let's come to that. Yeah.
Yeah, a Metal Monthly. We haven't done this since I did one with Gav about 8 years ago, or what it feels like.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
um,
think you were still talking about New Kids on the Block in that one.
well, as we should, but yeah, it's due to popular demand. It's all better pull our finger out and do do our bit. So we'll be obviously we're going to talk about September. We're not going to go back over the last sort of 4 months because we've forgotten most of it. So
That's
you
a
know,
fair point.
but there's been a few releases and some news stories and some bits and pieces and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
first and foremost, how are you, gents? Hey, how are you doing?
I'm well. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good. What about how's everyone else?
Yeah.
Cold.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I don't like to talk about the weather, but I'm going to because, well, I'm British. That's a mark of a true Brit. That's a true patriotic Brit stuff, isn't
Yes,
it? A lot of
this is
discussion
true.
about that at the moment. And no, if you don't talk about the weather, you ain't patriotic. That's all it's about. And it's fucking cold. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, to
I
be
don't like
fair,
winter is coming.
I mean, to be fair, that's pretty in keeping with the month of September, isn't it? Everything's changing over,
Well,
isn't it?
you say that. Usually, I've maintained this for years. The seasons shifted ages ago, so that basically summer lasts well into probably the first week of October. But
That's fair.
the year didn't get the memo, did it, this time round? And basically, we've had autumn for about 3 weeks now, apart from a nice weekend a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, and it's just like, yeah, you're not getting an Indian summer. It's autumn, and I expect it will be bloody winter properly next week.
I
And
don't,
you
I
can
don't
fucking
mind.
like it.
I don't
And
mind a
then
bit of autumn. I call it typo negative first season. You can pull out all those albums, and then when you start moving into the winter month, it's all the doom comes out, and that's it. You're into it. So, it's
well,
perspective, isn't it?
having said that, though, I am thinking possibly of a Finland trip in winter.
Oh, that's bleak.
Think about it. It's not going to actually happen, but just as we've forgotten, Crystal Palace are in Europe, 19 games unbeaten, and no, but the last match is in Finland in December, and I'm just thinking, well, no one else is going to go to it because it's so because of what it is, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute. Where's my camera? Where's my corpse paint? Let's take advantage.
And your football rattle. Don't forget your football rattle.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right,
Now,
that's
there's
that's that's
there's a
the
look.
uh, that's the first and last time you're allowed to mention Palace this week. So,
Oh come on, you can mention Villa. You've won a couple of games. You're allowed.
well, we have now, yeah, three on the
Yeah.
bounce, mate. What can I say? Anyway, look, we should start off really, so in the last couple of weeks we've lost Thomas Lindberg, which is
Yeah,
obviously a terrible shame. I mean, he announced a few weeks back, didn't he, that he was ill and he's been fighting cancer and whatnot, and then like I said, a couple of weeks ago, we lost him. So first and foremost, the glass to Mr. Thomas Lindbergh
absolutely.
and his contribution to metal.
Mm.
Perhaps a proper bona fide legend. That
I
word
mean,
gets thrown around a lot, but you know,
no, but undeniable. At the gate, such an influential band on the genre. And I guess I just want to include in that shout out to Lou Collar as well because we've had similar
yeah,
news. Around his health, and he's another of our favorite musicians who's been fighting cancer, and we've just had the news that that's returned. So not great news in the heavy metal world this month, not at all.
no, but hopefully, Luke Collar is 40 once, so hopefully it's the same thing again, and and he lives to fight another day. So yeah, yeah. Raise a glass, any excuse. Yeah.
So
Right. So
what are we drinking tonight, gents?
we are drinking a Trapiche Malbec, so a supermarket finest.
Very nice, very nice. I'm actually drinking my girlfriend's beers, so shh. But this is a Joker IPA. It's nice. It's nice. She's been trying out like a gluten-free diet, so we got loads of this shit like kicking around because she doesn't like it. It's like she's tried it, she doesn't like it.
But you'll drink anything,
So
so
I'll drink anything, you know me.
You're like Eddie Hitler from Bottom, aren't you? It's
Oh,
just
look, yeah,
you're on
seriously.
the you're on the bleach.
right worse.
Yeah.
Um, well, I'm on the this thing. Oh, I can't. Hang on, can't really see there. I'm going to put it in front of me, otherwise. The Mad Cat Brewery in Faversham. So another one of the local ones. And this is the Jester, so it's a little
Oh,
bit
look,
perky, a
there
bit
you go.
grapefruity.
I'm on the Joker. You're on the Jester.
Whee!
Hey, yeah, but yeah, I always try, try and do the local breweries, keep them supporting, keep it indie and all that.
Wallop.
Excellent.
Just conscious of the fact that so right next to where I'm sitting is a TV, right, and it's just switched itself on. It's got a fucking motion sensor, and I didn't realize it.
Your
Oh,
TV's
there you go.
Motion sensor.
It's
yeah.
just switched itself off. You fuck off.
What
Yeah,
the
no,
Anyway,
fuck
it
is
does. It
that?
does that at night when I'm sleeping on your sofa, and it's annoying.
yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Hang on. Can someone explain to me what the benefit of a motion sensor on a
Well, it
TV is?
switches on when you walk in the room
That's a
because
bit, you know,
because we are that fucking lazy now. We can't even
It's
reach
very
down the
presumptuous,
remote.
isn't it?
it's a bit much, isn't it? It's like, come and watch EastEnders.
Oh, fuck's
Anyway,
sake. Anyway,
don't forget, never forget, you're in control. You're in control.
No
well,
one's in control.
apparently, we'll see. We'll
This
see.
is just getting bleaker and bleaker, this
It is a
episode.
bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Well,
We've got
should
4
we
months to
lighten it
catch
up a
up
little
on,
bit?
so
What have we been listening to this month then? So instead of like we used to do, or we used to, to sort of review albums and whatnot, it's a bit long-winded and it's not really necessary. So I think it's more important to just kind of look back over the month and what we've been listening to, what's come out in September that has tickled fancies.
Oh, the little rib ticklers.
Bit of that.
I'm not gonna talk about my fancies being tickled, but
Well, no,
you
you've just been given an invitation. Go for it.
September. Yeah, sort of looking through the list just because I think I've been quite shocking the last few months just because I've been quite busy settling to this new flat, so I've been quite distracted and not really focusing. So I've been neglecting my homework. But it's felt like a bit of a quiet summer, hasn't it? To be fair, I think compared to the
Summer
last couple
was,
of,
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, there's been plenty of stuff released, but I think in terms of notable releases and notable bands, it does feel like I've had an opportunity just to sort of just ignore things for a bit. But yeah, September seems to have kicked things off a little bit, and I think there's a couple of the last couple of weeks I mentioned, but I thought the first one that sticks out in recent weeks, which I know you guys have probably enjoyed, is the new Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
yeah, look, yeah, it's definitely worth a shout out because I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I didn't stick with it. I'll probably go back to it, but I just, yeah, I didn't sort of stick with it. It's good though. It's a Halloween album and it's what you want from Halloween, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I think I've been listening to quite a lot of, in pushing the boundaries really in what I've been listening to, and I think that sort of stands out. Here you go. Here's some just simple, traditional, bombastic heavy metal.
I think what I will say is it did kind of mark like you said, it was a bit of a lean summer. And then I think as September's kicked in, we've suddenly had some quite, significant releases. So I think Halloween was one of the first bands that came, one of those bands that a lot of people would have been anticipating, legacy band.
yeah, proper.
And it's good to hear. And I think there have been a lot of examples of this recently, actually. Good to hear um like an older legacy band like still just coming out strong.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I think that is something to be celebrated. You've got a band like Halloween that are still making music that sounds exciting, still making albums that are worth a listen. There's material on there that you go back to. So, that's all good.
well, like Creator just dropped a new single as well,
Yeah,
didn't they? Which
Yeah.
is what you expect from Creator. Again, same kind of thing, but it's just a fucking good song.
that's it.
Solid.
You just think you compare it to, I mean, Hate Uber Alles, which is one of the best metal albums of the decade,
Yeah, fucking
and
great
just
album.
continue with that. It wasn't a fluke, so
Yeah, yeah. When you compare that to the new Megadeth that's just dropped,
Can we talk about that? It being an October release?
yeah. Well,
We may
we'll
as
probably
well, I
we'll have,
suppose.
it's that memorable. We'll have forgotten about it in 5 minutes. So let's not bother. Let's move on.
right.
Anything else?
Um, yeah, I'll do my bit. Although I'll come back to the end because just to go back a bit. But I think the last couple of weeks we've also had new ones by firstly Revocation,
Yeah, hasn't
which
clicked me that.
yeah, I'm not understanding that quite
No,
frankly. It's
Mm,
quite
I haven't got around to
radio.
listening to it yet. Then, but
Um,
I've watched the chat kind of like scroll past. Me like, yeah, I'm not sure about
yeah,
this.
but I liked the last album again, one of my sort of newer discoveries and coming back to things, and I enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed this. It's heavier, I think, than the last album.
definitely
Bit more
heavy.
So yeah, and it's got again, it's a good balance of crunch and tech. It's not too techy. It's not too inaccessible. I think so. Yeah, I'll probably continue to enjoy that. And the other one, and this is another band who have thus eluded me over the last 30 years, but the singles really piqued my ears. Lots of melody, lots of pleasant sounds, and that's the new Amorphis. Uh,
Mm.
so yeah,
That didn't
Yeah,
click with me either,
I
weirdly.
just
yeah. The Amorphis one was for me kind of sits halfway between between the opinions there. I love Amorphis. I think they're a great band, but on first listen, like when Amorphis hit that gear, those soaring choruses, it's
Yeah.
like heavenly. I mean, it is something else. And I spent the entire album waiting for that moment, and it doesn't really come. And that's not to say it's a bad album, but it's when your expectations are up here and it doesn't do what you're kind of waiting for it to do or expecting it to do. I sort of walked away feeling a little bit like, oh, right, okay. So I want to go back and listen to it with a different set of expectations because, regardless of any of that, they're a quality band. They do know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, the bits that popped out for me were, they're kind of leaning into a much more of a kind of Euro sound. There's a lot of that sort of disco beats on there. I mean, that's maybe a bit strong, but there's a kind of Euro pop sensibility that's woven into their music. Still heavy. Don't let that kind of mislead you into thinking they've changed style.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I listen again. I'm with you. I do like Amorphis, and they've released some absolute bangers, but it just felt a little bit. I don't know, a little bit sort of flat for me. But there you
Hmm.
go. This is why we all have different opinions, isn't it? It's otherwise it'd be fucking boring. Um, I will give. Well, we should talk about Castle Rat as well, shouldn't we?
yeah,
Yeah.
I could have mentioned that, but I thought, you know what, someone else will.
Yeah, I think
Hmm.
yeah, collectively, look, the debut that came out about 18 months or so ago, showed a lot of promise and the whole aesthetic is really cool.
Yeah.
But they have definitely stepped up with this album. I still don't think it's quite there. I like a lot of it. It's a bit long, and there's a couple of interludes in it that I think kind of just get in the way a bit. I don't know. I'm not quite there,
Right.
but I think it's safe to say that they're just going to kind of go like that, aren't they? Some major festival slots next year and stuff like that. It's going to go off.
Yeah, I think they're one of those bands where their strength is their aesthetic.
Yeah,
And that's not taking anything away from the music. I think what they do is solid. I haven't spent a lot of time with the new album actually, um, but maybe this is an example where the next album will be make or break in terms of how seriously people take them as a
yeah.
kind of an ongoing thing. But at the end of the day, what they do is so bloody entertaining.
It's very cool. Yeah,
You can't help but just give a little piece of yourself to it.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think one thing about this album, and we'll probably see it with the next one, is they crowdfunded this album, didn't they?
Right. Okay.
They wanted to kind of jump on the momentum a little bit, so they crowdfunded this album. They had it paid for in about 30 seconds, I think.
right.
There's a lot of enthusiasm for it, but I would imagine album number three is going to come along. They won't be in that position.
Mm.
It'll be. I think it'll be different. It will be that, like you say, it will be the telltale, won't it?
I
Album
mean,
number
yeah,
three, and that will be
I
the
mean, the last album, the debut was last year, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
just like, well,
Right.
18 months ago
Yeah.
or so, and
yeah,
I
not long
wasn't,
ago at all.
yeah, I wasn't quite enamored with it. But again, Doom, I'm choosy about.
Mm.
But this one, the first single I heard this, I thought, well, hang on a minute, that's not just a step up. That's literally a.
It's a
Well,
leap for
it
mankind.
is, yeah. I'm trying
Yeah,
to think of that. I'm trying to think of the funny analogy, but I just can't. I'm just out of practice at this point. But yeah, it really piqued my interest, and as you say, I think the next album, if they've got like a couple of years to work on their songs and their touring,
Mm.
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll see with
yeah,
that. Obviously, they're on the they've got a pretty high up slot on Bloodstock Mainstays next year. So
Yeah.
you know,
But that's where they're going to work because I think that the seeing have any of us seen them live? I haven't,
no,
but
no,
right. But I think that's where they're really going to win you over. They just look ridiculous in such a cool way. And then, that sound at volume with that aesthetic, they're always going to be a live draw, I think. But yeah,
Yeah,
whether
it will.
whether or not creatively they stay the course, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I want to shout out the Scorpion Milk debut album, which so anybody who's familiar with Matt McNerney, who's Beast Milk, Grave Pleasures, he's also involved with Hex Vessel as well. So he's one of those people that is here, there, and everywhere. Very much a sort of gothy post-punk kind of throwback. It took me quite a long time to penetrate this. A lot of it I found a little bit sort of, I got a bit bored, but I sort of persevered with it.
Right.
And I've actually come to really, really like it. And, I don't know why I felt the need to stick with it, because a lot of the times you'll just go, yeah, I'm
It's
not into that. But
it's I think, I mean, I'll admit I haven't got around to listening to it yet. I've been just trying to sort of divvy up my listening habits. But I love the Grave Pleasures album, the last one.
yeah, it's
That was
great.
my number two of the year. Um, but initially, I struggled with it. It was just odd.
Yeah.
The melodies weren't, they were unexpected. They didn't quite hit, but there was something about it that, I wanted to stick with it. So I'm guessing it's exactly the same with this lot.
It kind of,
Mhm.
it is very much like a goth post-punk thing, like I said. And you've got Will Gould from Creeper doing vocals on one of the songs, which works really well. But there's this sort of awkward, you know, sort of 90s alt rock kind of thing going on as well. Bands like Rival Schools and Quicksand, that's that kind of melody. It is a really odd mix, and I think that's why it's quite hard to penetrate. But if you stick with it does become quite rewarding. You've got a lot of real classic post-punk elements to it, the repetitive choruses and things like that, and the hooks do start to kick in after a while. So
Nice.
it's worth a shout.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'll jump in with a couple that I like. So my kind of my filthy box has been ticked. Um,
We don't want to know about your filthy
well,
box.
listen, I'm going there. I'm going there, So it's been it has been a mixed bag. I'm not going to talk about like the big releases. We've had a new Paradise Lost album, but we've spoken about that on a review episode. But I've
Yeah.
spent a lot of time listening to that one. That's great. Similarly with the Lorna Shore album, but we've covered that. So a couple of albums. Werewolves are a band that I love, and they put out The Ugliest of All
A
in
very apt
September.
album title.
I know, but just kind of ridiculous, like just kind of aggressive grindcore. But there's a real sense of humor in there that I love. It'll be the angry, intense song, and then they'll just put this cheeky little sample in at the end of it, or just to segue into the next song, and you're just grinning like a fool, and then they just hit you around with some kind of kosh on the back of the head, you know that. And in a similar way, and I was a bit of a latecomer to this, is the Dying Remains album, Merciless Suffering,
Mm.
which kind of came and went, and it just so happened a couple of people in the same day just asked me if I'd listened to it. So I kind of made a point of checking it out just because it had been mentioned twice, and I was just like, yeah, man, this is like, again,
Yeah.
it's just filthy death metal, no nonsense, caveman riffs, um, just it's just one of those ones that had me stank facing. So yeah, I was into that, very much into that. But a couple of others, and on the kind of going back to the Halloween theme, I was actually quite taken with the Primal Fear album,
Mm.
kind of Domination, which they're a band I have been aware of for a very long time, but I've never really checked them out in any meaningful way. Anyway, I just pressed play on this new album. I was just really impressed, you know. I was thinking, like, if you like what Judas Priest are putting out these days, with Firepower, Painkiller, it sits in a really similar place to both those albums. So that one's taken my attention. And shout out to our Belgian correspondent, Nige, who saw him live and can vouch that they're just as hot on the live stage as they are on record. So that's been a good one. Um,
We saw Primal Fear
Really?
at
Yeah.
Bloodstock in 2004 didn't we?
Yeah,
Right.
we did. Yeah, they were good fun. I mean, near that time, I wouldn't say I was completely enamored with power metal. I mean, I've been, there was then, bands like Angra and Sonata Arctica all do
Yeah,
that thing,
all of
which
that.
I can never quite get into. But yeah, they had a couple of tracks, Primal Fear, and I think that made their live show just a bit more absorbing. So yeah, they
It's
do
like it's
deliver the goods.
that in it. It's sort of fist pump metal in it.
Yeah,
You know,
man. I
that
mean,
the Germans do well.
what are we even here for if we're not doing a kind of fist pump like fucking yeah? That's it, isn't that? That's what heavy metal is. Come on, like have a heart, man. Yeah, I've gone back to that one and really enjoyed it. But the one I kind of wanted to give a big shout out to, which was a bit of it sort of came at me from nowhere, was the new Glenn Hughes album. Chosen. I really, really like it. Didn't know it was coming out, and I just kind of found it in amongst all the releases. And I think it's a great sounding, energetic, like rock record. It's not a throwback to, you know, Deep Purple he's not kind of trying to like sort of rely on his reputation from the glory days or whatever. I think it's a fresh sounding, as I said, energetic, contemporary sounding rock album. I mean, there's a lot of Chris Cornell in his voice. It's like obviously he came first, I suppose, the voice of rock, but there are moments where it really feels like you're listening to something like Audio Slave. There's a very kind of Rage Against the Machine-esque grungy element to the music, and then this soaring voice over the top, and he just sounds good. So, that's been one I've returned to a lot.
He's Glenn Hughes, and he's always going to sound good, isn't it? I mean, I didn't give it enough time, to be fair. I listened to some of it, and I was like, yeah, it's good, but I didn't kind of go back to it. So it has been quite a busy month for new releases. So it's yeah, not quite to the level it was last year, but and we'll just shout out Notan as well, Joe Quayle's new album that came out this month. He was on the podcast earlier in the month, to go back and check that out because that was a really cool chat. But that's a thoroughly enjoyable, more, what should we call it, relaxed,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
listen. Obviously,
yeah, it's kind of it's a descent into something, and it's kind of it's beautiful and terrifying at the same time,
yeah, yeah,
and you do go back and check out the episode where we speak to Jo Quayle, and she just talks about writing those songs and how they came about, and also shout out to Jo as well because she's just got in to record the kind of the sister piece to this album, which is
yeah. I'm
it's
really
the
quite excited
symphonic
about.
version.
Yeah,
Yeah, so to hear these songs that already sound quite oh, I don't even know what the word is. But to hear them on that scale, I think is going to be next level.
yeah,
So
yeah,
look
yeah,
out for that.
completely.
Before we continue, I do want to actually raise another album.
Well,
Been
that's what
out,
we're here for.
yeah, absolutely. And I want to mention this because we haven't. I'm pretty certain we haven't mentioned this at all on this pod over the summer, just because of our sparse output and changing ways and whatnot. This came out at the end of May, quite suddenly.
Oh, fucking hell.
Um, and I checked it out straight away because again, fairly new discovery when they released an album 3 years ago, which I liked. But this, quite frankly, is album of the year territory for me.
Mm,
And it's quite something, and that is the new album by Shadow of Intent,
right.
Delirium Imperium or Imperium Delirium, whichever, one
That
of one
sounds
of
like
the two.
something out of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Oh, yeah. Um, and yeah, I know it's deathcore, well, deathcore of sorts, basically. So
This is all going too far now.
Yeah, so
yeah,
Steve, no, but
but
we're allowed to deathcore now.
we are, we are.
It's been officially sanctioned by Joey Tregenza.
You're listening to Lorna Shore, so we've crossed the
Yeah,
river here. But no, as I said, I did like the last album. There was something about it, and so I had to make sure I checked this one out. And it's something else. It's There's so much going on. There's so much color to it. There's some real hooky riffs, lots of synths, lots of majestic sort of crescendos, and all sorts. And yeah, it's a great piece of work. And it's one I think I'm certainly going to be singing the praises of at the end of the year.
I think it does them a little bit of a disservice just to sort of call them deathcore because they are a bit more than that, aren't they? There's,
Yeah, yeah.
like the way Lorna Shore have gone, there is more going on, so that makes it a lot more listenable. So, yeah, to be fair, I liked it, but I probably need to go back and give it another go because I didn't give it a great deal of time. I liked the last album as well. I think it was Wolfman actually that pointed it out at the time, and yeah, I do quite like what they do. So,
It's
yeah.
the thing is, again, it's not a chorusy album. It's not like a instant
Mm.
accessible kind of thing. So it's one you do have to sort of make an effort for and stick with it. But because of what's going on, it's Moorish in that way because it's like, oh, I want to hear that little bit again or that little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
Uh,
totally.
but yeah, it will get there.
Any others from sort of that are sort of still sticking in the ears? What's sort of, if you dip back into the archives and thing in the last month?
What, stretching
Cryptopsy,
back?
What?
Cryptopsy.
Cryptopsy got a big thumbs up from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair. Yeah,
Yeah, I know, I
yeah.
know, I know it won you over, JT. You were like,
It did eventually.
yeah,
Yeah.
like this. No. But it just tickled you, didn't it? It just tickled you.
Being tickled by Cryptopsy is like being tickled with a razor blade, isn't it? It's just,
Yeah, I mean, it's not
yeah,
really it doesn't even qualify as a tickle, really,
not
to be
really,
fair.
no. But yes, it did win me over, and I went back and had a rip through the back catalogue as well, and yeah, I get it. I do get it. So
Yeah, no,
I will
that
I
was
will be seeing them in the UK next year without doubt. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And actually, if we're stretching back a little, I want to shout out an album. I'm I'm slipping this one in under the radar a little bit, but there's a project called Shardik, which is the album is called Cruelty Bacchanal, right? And it's a project by a guy named Matt
And that's
Holland.
Source.
Well, it might be, but it's also an album. Um, and I came across this one. It was like on YouTube or something. I was just scrolling around YouTube, and something came up, and the headline was like this album is absolutely mad or something like that. I don't know. I clicked on it because why wouldn't I click on it? And kind of this music began, and it's like if you like bands like King Crimson, like Mr. Bungle is probably a big kind of reference point on this one. But even like Mahavishnu Orchestra, which is a band that you may or may not know of,
Yeah,
but
no, yeah.
yeah, and it's fucking nuts. Like, in that way that King Crimson are, they just take you here, there, everywhere. A lot of it's improvised, and some really very skilled musicians kind of coming in on that improvisation. There's strings in there like violins, but it's heavy, And this and Matt Hollenberg, who's the brain behind it all, has metal credentials. He was in a band called Cleric, which are like in a similar vein, but even heavier. Like this is the sort of music that just sucks the oxygen out of the room. So I've kind of been down a bit of a wormhole with that, starting with that album Cruelty Bacchanal by Shardik, and then just checking out the Cleric stuff and just basically having my skin flayed off. So if anyone wants to check that stuff out, there's all sorts of excitement to be had.
What was the name of the band on the album? Just to repeat it.
So Shardik is the name of the band. Shardik. Shardik. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but
Can't imagine there's anything else.
I think
But
that's
yeah,
that's acceptable for now, I think.
yeah. And Cruelty Bacchanal.
Bechamel,
Um,
Bechamel sauce.
signed to a label called Sardik, which is John Zorn's record label. So if anyone knows who John Zorn is,
okay,
No, no,
avant-garde musician. I'm guessing a lot of people will know him through Mr. Bungle's debut album, but he's released some incredibly heavy music over the years, and everything else. Not just heavy music. I mean, this guy does everything, like chamber music and kind of avant-garde jazz and whatever you want. But anyway, Shardik, this album, um, yeah, definitely check that out. It's again, to echo Voice of Reason, it's like album of the year territory. I was like, whoa, there's a lot going on here, but I like it.
fair enough. A couple of shout outs I'll give to stuff that's been in my ear this month. I'm still loving the new End It album, Wrong Side of Heaven. Proper good, straight up, catchy as fuck hardcore. Sort of properly got into Son of Boar as well this month. Really cool. Self-titled album. Really fucking cool, sort of doomy stuff. Um, since Alcatraz, I've been diving into King Buffalo an awful lot in the last few weeks. Really become to love them, so definitely worth a shout out. And after the conversation we were having today, I've gone back and dipped into a couple of Afghan Wigs albums as well that
Oh,
I haven't
nice.
listened to in
Yeah,
fucking years. Gentleman and Black Love, a
yeah.
couple of 90s classics that have just been reissued as well. So, well, one of them's been reissued on vinyl, the other one's only knocking about on CD for some reason,
Oh,
but
do you know what? About
great
30
albums.
seconds, about 30 seconds after that conversation, I was Googling Black Love vinyl, and it has had a really nice reissue with extra tracks and everything. So, that's one. It's a few it's priced premium. It's a premium
Yeah,
price, should we say,
yeah.
but it could be worth it, I think.
But yeah,
But
yeah, a
I love
couple of
that. I love
absolutely
that.
fucking great albums.
I mean, if we're shouting out like we're going way back, we're going way back. I'll tell you what I've been listening to a lot this last couple of weeks. I went on a road trip with my son and we had a few CDs in the car, and one of the ones that I put on was Ride the Lightning. And
Who's that by?
oh, I mean they're doing really well. It's a little band called Metallica, and
No, I'll check them out.
yeah, they're worth a listen. They're worth a listen. Um, but
The
it
guy,
falls into like that album just falls into that category of albums we all know are good and we all talk about them for, we talk about them and talk about them and talk about them. But I think it's fair to say we rarely listen to them.
Yeah,
We
that's
kind
probably
of did
fair.
all of our listening back then. So to put it on and just actually spend some time with it, on the road driving, it's like, fuck me. Anyway, talking about making vinyl purchases, came home, realized I don't have a copy on vinyl. So that was a purchase. And here we go, we're all up to speed. But I've just really enjoyed spending some time with Ride the Lightning.
it's the greatest metal album that ever made. So yeah, as you should.
Well, let's not get into that. But
That's a whole episode.
yeah,
Well,
well, yeah,
we've had that.
we've had that argument already. But
Oh yeah.
but
Well,
yeah. Anything else that's been tickling your fancy, Mr. Reason, in the last couple of weeks?
Um, it's a tricky one because obviously just because I've been sort of distracted still, it's just been a bit spotty my habit. So I mean, I do listen to stuff when I go for a morning walk and an evening walk occasionally. I've been trying to make a dent in my own vinyl collection by actually like listening to the albums I bought and haven't listened to just because they've been taking up space in between things. So
there's nothing quite like finding something still in its cellophane wrap, and you're like, oh,
oh, there's a lot of that. Yeah, it drove me nuts when you came around that one time. I think, but yeah, there's a lot that's unwrapped. But that's what I'm trying to do is get them to a point where they're being listened to. Um, but yeah, there's no one. I don't think there's a band that I've been like sticking with a lot. I think generally speaking, it's just bits and bobs. Um, Trying to think if we're talking about great albums that I think, oh, actually, this is a great album. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but certainly my vinyl copy or my second-hand vinyl copy, and it's great when you've done this, when you bought an album for a fiver second-hand and it's just completely mint. My copy of Regatta de Blanc by the Police is sounded very good. So
I own that.
yeah, it's great, and I know we all take the piss out of Sting, but they were a great band.
Yeah, but he wasn't
Really good.
really Sting back then, was he?
No, no, I
You know,
suppose
he
Kane.
didn't become that
After
knob jockey until a little bit later on. So,
yeah, but
I don't know,
it's
you'd have to ask the other members of the police that
well,
question.
yeah,
well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if that last album, Synchronicity, which is great as well. I mean, they all recorded that in separate rooms because they just despised each other by that point, didn't
yeah.
they? So
Like only the best bands do.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's for
Fucking
sure.
hate each other, but yeah, yeah.
But also another band. I think I will come back to it of the same sort of era. That certainly there's a couple of albums that I worship, and that's The Cars.
Oh, hello.
Right.
The debut album is a classic. Heartbreak City, which is the 1984 album that they did with Mutt Lange,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a lot of the time sounds like Def Leppard from production wise, but it's not quite there. But that's a magnificent album. It's
Yeah.
got Drive on it, but that's a bit of a sort of standout in terms of approach. The rest of it's quite upbeat. But that's a band that should have been much much bigger.
Yeah, do you know what my confession is? I haven't gone anywhere near the Cars really, other than just knowing that they're this really well-regarded band and probably hearing bits and pieces. They're not a band I've dug into ever for no reason other than I've just never really got round to it.
It's exactly, but that's it. There's so many, isn't there? I think about 10 years ago, when again I wasn't really listening to a great deal of metal,
Mm,
I was trying to I started digging into a lot of the old sort of pop, new wave stuff from the early 80s and late 70s, because I liked that era. But it was like there's so much I didn't know about. I was listening to a lot of Bowie at the time.
mhm.
Um, and it's just discovering all these like sort of late sort of 70s punk and new wave and CBGB bands, but also all these synth, sort of stuff that came along with Human League and Heaven 17, all that stuff. But no,
Dun, dun, dun.
um, the Cars, that debut album is great. And yeah, Heartbreak City, absolutely recommend.
Right,
But
there's some homework because I've never listened to that either, to be fair. So,
yeah,
Mm, mm.
big
um,
choruses, very big choruses.
should we talk a little bit about festival announcements because there's been a sort of handful in the last one. We should start with
Yeah,
Bloodstock, I suppose. They announced that they're opening up the Thursday night for the first time, and they got Saxon in to headline that, which makes total sense.
yeah,
25 years and all that. And a few other bands added to the bill. Sepultura, Bleed from Within. I think they're already on there.
yeah,
You've got the biggest one. I think was the last couple of days was the announcement of Body Count that they've been chasing
yeah,
for like a fucking decade.
yeah,
Which I think is a really cool booking. To be fair, that's
yeah. I mean that, but Body Count into Judas Priest that's a night out right there.
yeah, in it. That's the real fucking deal. That is
Yeah,
that they'll have a big crowd. That's a headline crowd. Body
yeah,
Count,
yeah,
without a doubt. So. Um, yeah, look, down some bands that have got great opportunities, like in Human Nature, got a main stage slot, which is
yeah,
just fucking awesome. Especially when in like 3 weeks' time they'll be playing in Radio City to 75 people, tearing the place to shreds, and then that. So that is like a huge moment for them.
yeah. It's good. I think to be honest, I think the Bloodstock beer is ripening up a bit. My initial reaction to it was a bit like, huh. But now I kind of look at it now and I think, oh, actually, 200 stab wounds are on there. I mean, they were an early announcement as well, and Cryptopsy as well, we've already mentioned. But it's ripening up.
Yeah,
I'm
you got Stamping Ground have been added,
yeah,
Burn, Celestial Sanctuary, Viking Skull. There is some really, yeah, there's some good stuff on the line. Look, for me, it's not the strongest year, definitely, but look, it's going to sell out, isn't it? So
yeah.
you know,
It'll be a good
It'll be worth
weekend.
it, whatever you do. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Um, Incineration, I think is worth talking about. That's an interesting one next year because they've gone
yeah.
fucking well and truly out of the traps. They started with Tomb Mold,
I mean, hang on, let's just stop
you
there
know,
for a moment. I mean, that's a hell of a way to start. Two
in it.
mold,
Yeah,
fucking hell.
yeah, without a
Right,
doubt. Really looking forward to that. Vomitory, who were due to play in 2020, which I had a ticket for that year, but obviously
right.
COVID came along and went, no, fuck you all. So that didn't happen. So they're back in. Vreed, Hypocrisy headline in the Electric Ballroom.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we have this Blood, Fire, Death
Blood.
Battery tribute.
I mean, fucking hell. Yeah. I mean, just look at the caliber. We got featuring members of Enslaved there, Watain, Mayhem, Emperor. All
Yeah,
these musicians have played in these fucking incredible bands. And then they're doing a tribute to Bathory together. Take my money.
yeah. Well, they already have.
Yeah.
The
Well,
black
I've
the
gone in
black
with
metal glitterati.
I've gone in with a payment plan option, so it's very much kind of take my money in increments.
Yeah, little bits.
And
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
early May, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, because I think you were up for it last year. Well, not to say you weren't up, you were up for it, but you were up for it as well.
Mm.
And I was up for it, but I didn't go. Um, yeah, for reasons. But I think obviously I've got to start looking at upcoming gigs and stuff, and maybe next year rather.
Look,
it's definitely worth going. It was good
I
fun.
think that's the
yeah,
thing.
I mean,
I've got to justify the cost to going to London now because of things, but I'm sure I can stay at one of yours and have a cheaper in and out
Of course.
it
couple of days.
it is. I mean, I popped my incineration cherry last year, having
Mhm.
never been, and fell in love. It's kind of like this is a great day out. And as you said, they're out of the traps with some really strong early announcements, and there's so much more still to come.
Yeah,
I mean,
they've
they
gone
haven't
they've gone
yet
hard.
announced like a headline act. Usually there's a roundhouse headliner. It was Triptychon last year playing a Celtic Frost set, and this year there's still a question mark, isn't there? We don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be another good fun day. Desert Fest also announced the a couple of bands. So Green Lung back at Desert Fest and headlining, which is a big deal.
Yeah,
That'll be their biggest ever headline show as well because it's in
yeah.
the Roundhouse.
Roundhouse, yeah.
And if so, for me, the Roundhouse, the sound sucks a bit in there, to be fair, but it won't defeat Green Lung, I don't think.
No, no. I've seen them in the Roundhouse actually supporting, and I mean they've got that soaring sound. It just kind of transcends all that. Really, there's just
Yeah, I
something.
think it will, and I think that they'll obviously there'll be a production and everything, won't there? So
Mm.
it'll be good. We've also got the Sword, which is fucking awesome. I haven't seen them
I
for
mean, what's
donkey's
that?
years.
First time in how many years? God knows. I
Oh,
mean,
I
they've
think
been out.
I saw them supporting Metallica at the O2 last time, I think, which was close to 15 years ago, must be.
Right.
I'm not sure, but the O2 in their opening wasn't great.
Yeah.
Earthless, Truck Fighters, and Capricorn. So
Which is another exclusive with Capricorn's
yeah,
reforming to come, to do it. So there's a lot of what Desert Fest have done. There's a lot of exclusives there. You've got the Sword coming back, you've got Capricorns coming back,
yeah,
and they're giving Green Lung the stage that they deserve. Yeah, we've been saying for years this is a band that are going all the way, and this is just more evidence that Green Lung are just on the up and on the up and on the up.
well, for them, it's momentum, isn't it?
Of course it is.
They
Yeah.
they haven't really stopped. I'm assuming that around about that time, the next album will be out. So it's
Oh,
going to be
probably
all.
not. No, I don't think we'll see it till later.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be part of it. I think they've gone. I think they're going straight in. There's no break.
Wow.
Again, they've got to stick with the momentum.
Well, either way, I think we'll get new tracks,
Oh
so
yeah, yeah,
even if
without a
we
doubt.
get
Yeah.
new material.
Even if there's a
And
single or an EP or something like that, there'll be something around about that time, won't there?
they're a band that just they haven't really dropped the ball yet. The last
No.
three albums, it's just been banger, banger, banger.
Yeah.
So
what they need to do then in that case, if round about the time they need to drop it on end of June for solstice.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, I reckon they've already marked that in the calendar.
Play to the theme, let's do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And we should shout out Masters of the Riff as well because that's going to be fucking great. So our good friends in London Doom Collective, and that is a fucking great lineup as well. You already had a few announced, Domcraft and the Grey and whatnot, but you've got Electric Citizen been added, Viking Skull, Wit
Yeah.
Sorrow, Caligram, and a load of others. But a fucking just absolutely superb 3-dayer. That is like 2 months before Desert Fest.
I mean,
Superb. We'll
look,
be there with bells
London
on.
London Doom Collective just really, really, really know how to curate a night out.
Three
Like,
nights out.
well, I know, but you know what I mean? Any gig they put on, right? Okay, it's a banger, right? But Masters of the Riff, it's just put together so well.
Yeah. Yeah. And a shout out to the poster as well. Go and
Oh
check out,
man.
go London Doom Collective's socials and just have a look at the poster. It is just absolutely fucking golden. Why that hasn't been thought of before, I do not know, but it's fucking brilliant. So yeah, go and check that out. I think that's about it for festival announcements, isn't it, for this month?
I think so. Well, in terms of like the kind of main UK players
Yeah.
that have kind of come out the gates with some stuff. But yeah, I mean, how have gigs been generally in September? We've been to a few. Should we
Yeah, so
tap in on those?
I mean, we should sort of shout out our own little shindig beneath the arches back early in the month, which went off in every way possible, as you'd fully expect.
Yes, it did.
An absolutely brilliant day. A huge thank you to everybody who came. A massive thanks to all the bands that played. Everybody just fucking tore it up.
Good vibes, man.
Just a great day. And look, there's more to come.
Mm.
So we've got Bay Days in a few weeks' time. Likes in Human Nature and Warp Stormer and Allfather and Gert and Dunes and Dim Skewer, and many others. So get along to that as well. It's going to be a and all that.
You look like that.
I hope, I hope
When you're
that's
watching a
I hope
band
that's
like a
clear.
big stadium gig and there's someone doing sign language, right? That's the
How
angle.
do you do sign language for smashing your head against the wall? How does that work?
Well, I'd say it's quite easy. Just smash your head against the wall.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
but
one.
I have to say, as a regular visitor to those events, they are just so worth getting down to. So cool, such a vibe, such a good time, and
Yeah,
that that's the overriding kind of thing about them is it's just positive, and it's great. It's a worthwhile kind of spot in the heavy metal calendar. Yeah, just take your pick. Any one of those nights, they've been a raging success.
yeah,
Well,
fucking right.
it's been. I mean, it was a proper little all day, wasn't it? Really, and I
Yeah,
haven't been to
yeah, we kicked off at
a
three
sort of
o'clock. So yeah,
I've been to a small scale all day for donkey's years. Like we're talking over 20 years since I did
yeah,
something like the Kingston Peel or somewhere like that.
harking back to those good old days.
Yeah, and it did.
That's it,
It felt like that. That's it. Just quite. We had two venues at our disposal as well, but back and forth, and good vibe. Oh, grab some food and come back, and that's
It
what
was
it's about.
that beautiful zombie walk of everybody from one venue back to the other in between
Yeah.
bands. It was just
Quite amusing, obviously, because if people didn't realise, no, follow us. This was the same weekend as the big BBC Radio 2
yeah.
gig, sort of elsewhere in the city, and of course on the Saturday, that was headlined by Brian Adams, who
Oh, there you go.
I think Reckless is a great album. Let's admit there, but yeah, I think obviously by sort of 11 o'clock, we're still all milling around, aren't we, and sort of doing the after show, all sort of still all metaled up, and you got all of these people coming, getting off a bus, going to the train station with their chairs and
The camping chairs.
I mean,
all the
it
bits
was
and
definitely,
pieces and their hampers and stuff like that, and all looking at
yeah.
us thinking, what's all this deviant nonsense?
It was definitely the meeting of two worlds. I mean, I can remember pulling into the station on arrival and just this mixture of these two different cultures kind of coming together. There's a lot of hairy faced people and a lot of sequins.
Oh, that's nothing. If you go to I mean the same anywhere really, but whenever there's like a big Comic Con at XL in London, there always seems to be something completely different elsewhere in the actual XL Centre. I think the one that I recall once was a big Pilates or yoga. Or what was that craze I had a few years ago? It was like some sort of thing you do on the spot. It wasn't Pilates,
Zumba.
was it yoga? That's it.
There
Yeah.
you go.
It was a Zumba convention. So you're looking at what people were wearing, and you think, are you going to the Zumba convention or the comic convention?
It
It
could
can't.
be either. Could it's a lot alike.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, had that
Yeah.
vibe.
Therapy. A shout out to Andy Cairns' birthday bash, which
Happy,
was
yeah.
which was a
Happy
whole lot of
birthday.
ramshackle fun, but great fun nonetheless because it's therapy.
Because it's their, I mean, they're about they're another band. When they announce a tour, it's like I'm there.
Yeah.
I've seen. I think they are probably the band I've seen live more than any other band, and yeah, you know. So this
Yeah.
was
Great
no
fun.
different. Get down there. What a great night. 229 venue. Little bit of a strange venue. I think
Yeah.
not for them or any. Yeah, it's just a strange venue.
Like being in a canteen.
Yeah, yeah,
Which I think is pretty much what it is, isn't it?
yeah. I think so.
And the Dark Throne cover as well, of course, which
Of course, yeah. Fucking hell. There you go. That's worth it, isn't it? It's I never thought I'd see something like that. Therapy covering Dark Throne.
well, it wouldn't be on your bingo
Like
card,
to,
would it?
to me, that's just kind of mic drop moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I texted out at the end of the night. It's like I don't need to go to gigs anymore. I've just reached peak gig.
What else do we have? Earn. So first show was a four piece,
Yeah.
which was an interesting one. It fucking ruined my ears. It was so loud in there.
Camden Assembly, tiny little box of a room,
Yeah.
with a massive PA, it seems, and an extra member in the band. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a recipe for volume. I mean,
It's
we're all,
earning it. We know what
we're
they're
all
going to do.
yeah, we're all feeling better now. And a shout out, actually, may as well make a shout out to the Camden branch of Big Red, which is a bar just down the road from the venue, and I hadn't spent a lot of time in there before, but the opportunity to go in there, that's a cool little place.
Yeah, yeah, I really liked it in there. Sometimes it's nice to go to a rock bar and it's all, the music is quite mainstream. It's just nothing but classics and
Yeah.
bangers and whatnot. And the vibe's really cool, the decor's really cool. And it used to be a shitty Weatherspoon. So, you know,
Sorry,
everything.
where was this again?
It's the Old Moon Underwater in Camden.
Oh yeah, we went there quite a lot, didn't we?
We used to
Before
use
the
that a
market
lot
line.
back in the day when you can get
Um,
99p
yeah, because
pints and things.
yeah, because I was just looking at old pubs and reminiscing and stuff like that, and yeah, I saw that it was shut, having been something else for a while. So, oh, okay, so they've opened it up again.
Yeah, and it's a very cool sort of rock and metal pub. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. And one last shout out, Ricky Warwick and CJ Wildart
Ah,
last weekend,
yeah,
which was a whole lot of fun. So yeah,
yeah. And another venue I've never been to. Like in all my years of going to gigs, I've never been to the 100 Club, and it was just as like gloriously tatty. I loved it.
voice of reason sitting there thinking, have I ever been there?
Yeah, I think it's one of those where I was either going to go and I didn't, or I have. I
I would
can't remember. I think
imagine
it's
kind
very
of
sim I
in
think it's
your
very similar to a venue in Leicester Square, I think in
right.
Rome, but I don't.
I would just assume in your kind of wilderness like indie years, I can imagine a lot of bands.
Oh
It's the
no,
sort of
no,
band,
I
sort of
wasn't really
place where
going
you'd
to
go
any
and
gigs
see.
during those years. I certainly wasn't going to indie gigs during those
Right.
years. Come on.
Well, I don't
But
know.
it was yeah, it was fucking Remy. CJ Wilder was great, and a couple of Honey Crack songs in the set, a couple of
Yeah, yeah,
Wild Heart songs in the set, and his own stuff. And then Ricky Warwick, just a great kind of retrospective of his solo career, and bit of Thin Lizzy in there,
yeah.
bit of Bloodstar in there, bit of obviously the Almighty in there, which he had Floyd London up on stage to play
Of
on Free
course.
and Easy. So
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
all really cool.
And actually, just sort of bouncing back to the conversation about what have we been listening to, hearing Ricky Warwick cover "Are You Ready" by Thin Lizzy just reminded me that Henry Rollins, or Rollins Band, I should say, did a superb cover of "Are You Ready." It's on the Nice album, and so I went back and I've just been pulling out all my Rollins Band's albums and just going down a whole rabbit warren with that.
Angry, pissed off Rabbit Warren.
I love it. I love Rollins Band. I love Rollins
I
Band.
I can't. I'll be honest. I've what I've listened to them. I've largely never clicked with. It's a bit too out there for me. But I
Oh,
know you got their cover of Ghost Rider by Suicide, haven't you, on the
yeah,
Crows
yeah,
one?
yeah.
It's a very different approach to that song, isn't it? So, and I do rate that. So,
Yeah, yeah, and he's an artist where you can dip in at different points in his career and just have a completely different experience. But for me, my personal kind of, and it's one of my desert island albums. I'd say "End of Silence" is a masterpiece, and you can't hear it. It's not unless you own a copy. It's not on any streaming
oh yeah,
sites.
yeah,
You know, I guess maybe it's on YouTube. I'm sure someone's uploaded it there, but
It's weird with the streaming sites. Rollins' albums are like sort of dotted, like Get Some Go Again's not on the streaming sites either.
no,
So I don't know if it's a label and a licensing thing or
I
what,
think
but
that's exactly it. I
you
think
know,
that's
there's some
exactly
odd
it.
ones. I mean, one that I'm gonna have to find somewhere because I don't want to. I'd like a new copy, but it's not available at all new to buy. It's out of print. It's not on streaming. It's pretty much nowhere, and that's Restless and Wild by Accept.
Right.
I see that come up every now and
Yeah.
then.
Right.
I was bidding on a ropey-ish copy and it went for sort of about 35 quid, but
Oh, there's a
you know,
record store in Ramsgate, and I've been again 30 quid or so, and I've been going and ahhing, but I don't know. I'd rather wait till there's a new
that's the premium
licensed
price
one.
point, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it's but it's yeah. There's a few secondhand CDs out there, but you probably get for a tenner. But even so, 10 quid for a secondhand CD, it's you've got to be careful you spend money. But it's one of those. Why is it like unavailable? Because all the other albums are pretty much there. You know, you can listen to
It's got to be a
but
publishing thing, and it's got to be.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's if it came out on a different label and maybe that label's defunct and they can't license it. Well, I don't know how it works, um, but yeah,
Funny
um,
enough, I picked up balls to the wall for less than 20 quid a couple of weeks ago as
oh,
well. So
nice.
I was well happy with that. So, and my kids are like, what is that on the album cover?
Did you have to have the birds and the bees conversation?
it's a doorknob. That's what it is.
The
He's closing the door.
the Udo Dirk Schneider conversation. Right, a couple of things then before we end. One thing I just want to say, Roger Wars, you're a cunt. Everyone watching this will know why.
Fucking
Um,
hell.
we already touched on the System of a Down Stadium show, so Ticketmaster, your cunts. Live Nation, you're cunts, and System of a Down, you're not much better. But they have sold out 2 dates, so clearly there's a demand for it. And Maiden are playing Nebworth next year, which I didn't see coming either. So
Not really, no,
you know,
no,
so
no.
that's a big one. But so we're gonna touch on Spinal Tap 2 now.
Hmm.
Voice of Reason's seen it. Bean, have you watched it yet?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay, so neither of
No.
us know what Voice of Reason's opinion is. And, we're all massive fans of Spinal Tap. I've got Spinal Tap stuff tattooed on my legs. So I haven't watched it myself. I'm a little bit reluctant. So, old man Reason, let's have it.
Well, it's fair to say I didn't go in with high expectations because I don't think you can really. I mean, it's been 40
Fair.
years since that. It's been 40 years since they did that film. The landscape has changed. They're a lot older, um, and I think going in there thinking it's going to be great, it's going to be a 4-star, 5-star film, I think would have set me up for disappointment. So I thought, let's just be realistic. Let's just hope it's not shit because it also had the potential to be shit. Let's face it, something like this, um, and it's not shit.
Hey!
um, I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5 on my letterboxd. And that's generally speaking, that's normally for most films. It's a good film, but I'm happy not to watch it again. But
Mhm.
something like this, obviously, you've got that additional attachment there, so I will end up owning it on DVD at some point. Look, it's nowhere no, it's nowhere near as good as the original,
But
but it was never going to be. I mean, come on, there's no point even trying to suggest as much. Um, but I was smiling frequently and chuckling frequently. I think if you're into this stuff, it's going to have that extra amusement. You might like it a bit if you're not into rock and metal, but there's stuff that's going to sort of mean more in this regard. Uh,
Mm.
and I mean, what really pleased me is just how effortlessly the lads will just go back into these characters and how they still sound English
It's
even.
yeah,
I've watched a lot of the
It's,
promo stuff they've done.
the interviews they do with Zane Lowe, and it's like
Yeah,
you've got no right to be that good. You really
yeah.
haven't.
It's quite something actually, to see them just operate on the fly like that.
And this is the thing, when you're younger and you're playing young characters, you can almost you can have a bit more well character to it, and you can sort of push yourself out there and have a little bit more going on. But when you're older, it's like, well, you're old, you've got less energy, you've got to tone
Mm.
it down, and it's probably easy to sort of maintain that character. And no, they accurately played older versions of those characters.
Yeah, I
Um,
was just listening to you talk there, and I kind of wanted to come in and make that exact point. That's what I felt just kind of watching them perform in all the promo stuff. It's like, yeah, they're not trying to recreate what they were doing then. The characters have aged with them, and that is brilliant. I mean, that's
that's
quite,
that's it. That's important, isn't it? Because
yeah,
that is the whole point of the film. It's not a sequel as such, is it? It's a follow on. This is where we are now. So yeah, they could have got that wrong. You're right. I was really worried that you were going to come on here and say it was terrible.
Mm.
no. Look, I mean, I'm quite open-minded when it comes to films. I mean, for me to say a film is terrible, it has to be like legitimately terrible. You know, I know other people are quite. If they don't like it, then it's shit. I don't think like that. I'm quite reasonable with how I judge films. A lot of films that are apparently terrible, I'll find something to enjoy about. So maybe I'm not the best judge of this in some ways. But no, look, I was pleased, kind of thing. And you've got some good gags in there. But the Stonehenge thing has got a pretty funny update for 2025. You got some cameos there. Quite, some you'd think fuck off, others you'd think brilliant, that works. Um, yeah, and yeah, there's some good stuff in it. But yeah, I think if you go in just thinking, hopefully it's all right, hopefully it's enjoyable, and not having high expectations,
Mhm.
I think you'll come out pleased.
I'll get the popcorn in then.
I'll take that.
But I have to say, there's some. I am disappointed because I did check out the merch store because there's obviously some Spinal Tap merch on there as you
Yeah.
expecting. But there's certain things from the film I want them to sell, and they haven't. So
Oh shit! It won't be long. There'll be some third-party places
there,
put.
there will,
Yeah,
yeah.
there will be, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's a T-shirt that Derek Smalls wears for his business that I want. So
Yeah, it'll happen. You know, the likes of Redbubble and all that kind of thing. It'll appear at some point, won't
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
it is. It's like just going to see a band you like, and it's not going to be like a classic by any means, but they're great songs, and you're with your mates, and you got some beers, and yeah, that'll do you.
There you go. I think
Good.
that's a fair sort of seal of approval, I suppose. Yeah, all right, positives. That's it. We managed it. We'll try again next month. Try and remain a little bit consistent. But yeah. There's one other album I didn't shout out actually, and that's a band called Collapse.
Oh, yeah, right.
or
Okay. Yeah.
or Clups or whatever. But
Collapse,
Collapse.
yeah.
The album is KLPS. And if you like your sort of early, gnarly, grimy Cult of Luna, this is for you. Also Swedish. They're playing Masters of the Riff next year.
Right.
They'll be on the podcast in a couple of weeks, coming on for a chat. Definitely go and check that out as well because that is it's actually it's a later discovery. Came out in March, I think.
Mm.
It's crept its way into my sort of top 5 for the year. So it's it's that
Well,
fucking good.
look, listen, you nodded, you gave me the nod literally just before we jumped on to record this episode, and I'm actually deaf right now. I've been lip reading throughout this entire episode because it's done some damage, and that's a compliment.
It's always a compliment. Only in metal though. Only
Yeah.
in metal. So there you go. That's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Fucking big white hands, isn't it? It's a bit much, isn't it? So, and we'll.
You got your Mickey Mouse gloves on.
It's like a snooker referee. That's what I am. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Back next week. Stay metal. Cheers.